We're back with Pete's and Picks. I'm Tyler Christensen. Joining me is Coulter Olmstead. Coulter, how was your Christmas? Did you get any good Christmas presents?
I got some new headphones that I'm not wearing because I was scared of how they could connect to the Bluetooth, and technology scares me sometimes, even though that's my job. But yes, I had a good Christmas other than that. How about yourself? Did you get anything good?
I think my favorite gift was a gift to myself. Is our new microphones. We both got the same
Yes.
one. What kind of microphone is this, Coulter? You bought it, and I Venmo'd you. What mic is this?
The brand is Fafine, I think. I don't know. It was just the highest rated on for podcasts at a good budget. So here we go. Sounding better. One step at a time.
Yeah, we're getting more professional by the day. I like it. I got a pair of socks that I like too, bamboo socks.
Ooh, bamboo socks. I got alpaca socks, so I'm glad we both got socks.
You know who else got some nice socks this Christmas? The next players we're going to talk about and the next teams we're going to talk about this episode. We're doing a early season observation podcast, and I don't think we're going to be speaking out of turn. I think what we're going to talk about in this podcast are things that are going to hold throughout the entire season. Maybe there'll be some overreactions. We'll have to come back to this later, but I'm not going to speak too crazy. I'm going to talk about some concrete facts and some concrete observations that I've noticed, and I'm sure you'll do the same. So we're going to first talk about the players we've liked this season, or we've noted, or we're worried about this season, and then we're going to talk about what teams we're going to do a buy or sell of the teams we believe in or we want to get off of based off of our 2021 season projections blog you can check out at our Pizza and Picks website. And then we're going to end with a best pizza toppings draft, just like we started out our first podcast drafting the best pizza places. So look forward to that. Without further ado, Coulter, tell me about some players you've been paying attention to through 1 week of this NBA season, about 3 or 4 games per team.
Yeah, our sample size is small. You know, most teams have only played 4 games at the most, but I'm going to go with Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. He's 1 rebound away from having a triple-double in all 4 games. He's averaging a triple-double, 24, 13, and 11. He's leading the league in assists at the center position and shooting 62% from the field. I think he's by far one of the most productive offensive players so far early in the season. Really, really I've watched all the Denver Nuggets games. Their defense, but is work in progress, but their offense sure looks good.
Yeah, I hear Mike Malone. That's all he's talking about in his post-game interviews is how bad their defense is. So
yeah,
Jokic isn't known for that. It's rough to watch.
Yeah. And how about yourself? Who's your first?
Let me go with the center. I'm going to go with Christian Wood, who is also playing very well. I think it's one of the players I actually talked about in our season projections under the Rockets category. I also got him in fantasy, so I'm pretty happy about that. About the 8th round, maybe the 7th. But no surprise, watching him in the preseason, he matches perfectly with Harden. As long as Harden can be on the floor, Wood is going to be the perfect center for him. He shoots the 3, and what I didn't know about Wood until this season is how well he can roll to the basket too. And that's what Harden needs and hasn't had when he had Capella. He could only throw alley-oops to Capella, and it worked out great. Both their numbers were off the charts, but now that he has Wood to pop too, you should be able to see some open looks as well for Harden. That's actually my second player I'm going to talk about right now since I'm talking about Wood. Harden, off to a great start, just like he was last year. He's at 39 points per game. I mean, that's what he was at for the first about 3 months last year. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong about that, Coulter, before he dropped back down to, I think he finished at like 34, 35, considerably lower. But I think Harden can stay in the mid 30s, maybe 36, 37 by the end of the year, but I would not be surprised if he stays in the high 30s because of how much spacing Christian Wood gives them. So that pair is going to be dangerous. Maybe Harden will come around and stay in Houston. I was very high on this team. Don't want to talk about the team too much until we get to the buy sell section, but love those two players. Their record isn't great because of their COVID incidents. They're 0-2. Had a tough one against the Blazers, but I'm not too worried about their record just yet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Christian Wood's stats won't change a ton when John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins come back. I think he works perfectly in that pick and roll center position with John Wall, or James Harden, and I think that he works really nicely alongside DeMarcus Cousins in his pick and pop ability, and also running the floor. I think he's gotten out in transition really. I think that's where he's really excelled so far this year.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens when, specifically when Cousins comes back. He can fit with Wall too, but I could definitely. He's quick and he can definitely play the four. But like I said, I like him rolling to the rim, and I hope that they play Wood at the starting center and Tucker at the four. And I hope Cousins comes off the bench. Cousins looked good in the preseason, but I don't think he's going to be as good as Wood. So that would be one thing I would be worried about. Those two don't mesh well.
I find it hard to believe that they'll play too many minutes together in that system. They don't like to. I mean, two bigs on the floor with Harden hasn't been a thing in a couple years. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Wood could be that guy, and I don't
Yeah.
think I like that as much. But we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, especially seeing where trade talks go, how that affects Christian Wood going forward. But small sample size, only 2 games, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Who else did you like?
I'm gonna go with another big. We're just gonna stay on this big train. Andre Drummond. We'll talk more about the Cavs as a team, but 3-1 so far. He's leading the league in rebounds once again, 15 per game, and he's shooting good, averaging almost 20 points per game. But most importantly, he's decided to start to play defense. I really liked his defense so far in the games that I have watched. Small sample size, but he's averaging almost 3 blocks and 3 steals per game. And he's always been good at getting steals for a big, but the fact that he's, now blocking shots, I think is a huge thing going forward. And as far as his productability, if, he does end up staying with the Cavs and they're fighting for a playoff spot, I think he needs to be a rim protector for them to have any chance.
Yeah, Drummond had a late second steal in the double overtime against the Pistons. It was his revenge game. No, brought that up. Come on, Cavs, Pistons, revenge game. Who doesn't love that? But Drummond does look good. He's on a contract year, which is probably motivating him, to say the least, to get some money. He's on a max contract right now, and he's going into a weak free agent class. I'd be surprised if he got a max contract, but maybe if he starts playing some Rudy Gobert defense, he'll get $200 million too.
Yeah, the Cavs might offer him the whole plate if he keeps that up.
Another player that I liked on the Cavs is Colin Sexton. We could talk about Darius Garland and Sexland if we wanted to. We could talk about the Cavs. This could be a Cavaliers podcast, but Sexton's looked really good. Another one of my fantasy players. I think I'm just going to talk about my fantasy team this whole podcast. But 25 points per game, 4 assists. His efficiency is really good, so I don't know if that's a good or bad sign for his season projections, but he's just been attacking the rim. He's been slowing up his pace. He's been going fast and slow a little bit more often than he has in the past. I'm not surprised the Cavs are doing well. If Sexton and Garland are going to keep this up, I still have my doubts, but I hope Sexton plays well. The Cavs need a guard to be an interesting team again. but I like him.
Yeah, I think their backcourt is dramatically improved the pacing. I thought that at times Colin Sexton was going 100 miles an hour all the time when he clearly didn't need to. And he's definitely rounded that out, that part of his game out. Yeah, the Cavs are an interesting team. They're weirdly well rounded, and in the East, anyone can. I mean, the seventh and eighth seed are wide open every year, so they could be a surprise. But it'll be interesting to see if they keep it up. Another guard that I thought has come reined it in as far as like going a million miles an hour when they don't need to be is Terry Rozier. I think he's gotten a lot better at he looks a lot more than like he did when he was in Boston compared to last year in his first year in Charlotte, running the offense. He's scoring the ball a lot more efficiently, and he's still got those hops, as Kevin Durant well knows, in that early dunk of the year candidate. But he's shooting over 50%, 43% from three, and he's third in attempts per game and makes per game so far in the season. So good sample size for shooting that well. Should be interesting to see, with the guard heavy team that Charlotte has, how long he can keep it up.
Yeah, he's keeping Lonzo off the court. That's for sure. Another 3-point shooter I like is Trae Young. He is at 34 points per game. He's one of the top scorers last year, and he's doing even better so far this year, leading a solid Hawks team. I really like how much Trae Young's been getting the line. I think he's one of these players that's going to be slept on until this season. I honestly think he's been getting too much hate just because he's a small player that doesn't play defense. Of course, he's going to be attacked, but I think he's going to do so much offensive work during the game that he's going to make up for it. I think you worry about him when the playoffs come around, but I think the Hawks are going to be a very good team because Trae Young's going to have such a high usage. I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder throughout his entire career because he was going to be in a pretty good draft class when all is said and done. Everybody says how much of a steal the Luka Trae Young trade was when they went from 3 to 5. If Trae Young can do this for his entire career, and I would be surprised if he doesn't, it's not going to be that much of a steal. I know Luka's is a much better overall player, but I mean, if Trae Young's going to be the second leading top 5 leading scorer, very well could be the second leading scorer in the NBA. I wouldn't count that as a loss for the Hawks. I would count it as a win. There's a couple other teams that could have gotten Luka, but I'd be happy with Trae Young as my rising star.
Yeah, and that first 6 picks or whatever. I mean, even Bagley's looked a lot, much improved this year, and he's had injuries and stuff. But him and Aiden are solid players. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this progression goes in this almost perfect rivalry that isn't really a rivalry except for in the media of Luka and Trae Young. But yeah, Trae Young's balling on a team that's looking very good, and I think they have like eight different players averaging double figures right now. So yeah, they're moving the ball and scoring a lot of points.
Absolutely. Another player I liked that was slept on during the preseason is Kevin Durant, which is crazy to say. People are just worried about his injury, of course, but he's been leading the Nets. Kyrie's been doing a great job too, but KD's at 27 points per game. He is shooting 70% from 3, which is a small sample size. That'll go down. But he was always a great shooter, and clearly he hasn't lost his touch. He might have gotten even better at shooting. Don't want to talk about the Nets as a whole, but KD is leading that team. He fits into every lineup they have. They have so many options. So I'm glad to see KD is back.
Yeah, after taking like a year and a half off from not playing. The fact that he's shooting so well it shows the actual ability of Kevin Durant, and man, they're going to be fun to watch this year. Dinwiddie, that the loss of Dinwiddie hurts them, but they're still super deep. How about rookies?
I can compare the KD injury. Wait. I can compare the KD injury to one scenario I had in my playing time. Tommy Driscoll, freshman year, he's setting a screen for me. I'm going to describe the injury first. He's setting a screen for me. Connor Campbell comes around, takes him out. He played like, what was that guy's name? Dejon Blair. What was that guy's name?
For the Spurs, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I played for the Spurs for a while. I loved him. Tore his ACL, hurt the entire freshman year, came back sophomore year. Best free throw shooter we had on the team. So sometimes these injuries can help your shooting game a little bit. I don't know if that'll happen. Probably not going to happen, but we'll see if he keeps up the shooting. I'm going to call him the Tommy Driscoll comeback.
The TD comeback award. What about the young guns? Any young guns early in the year that you like?
Yeah, I love James Wiseman. Obviously, he's the number 2 pick, so he had high expectations, but I think people were sleeping on him for the majority of the season last year. He was the number 1 pick. Everybody was talking about him immediately. I think him stopping playing for Memphis, even in that abbreviated season, hurt his draft stock a little bit. I think one spot, but still, the layoff made people forget how unique of a player he is, and he's shown it in the preseason and now in the regular season. He can literally do everything for the Warriors. I saw him, was it last night? He made a block, dribbled it full court, and then dunked it by splitting 2 people. And then a couple possessions later, he made a great pass. And he's been shooting the 3 at 60%, which isn't going to stay that way. But again, if he can shoot it that well, he's going to fit it in perfect for the Warriors. So when we look back, he's probably going to be a terrible mistake for the Timberwolves. I get it. They had Cat, but he's going to be a great player, and the Warriors got a real steal with that one.
Yeah, he's been one of the most consistent rookies so far early in the season on a team that's having massive inconsistencies.
Whoa, all right.
I mean, well, the Warriors are shooting bricks all day, but I think that they'll get better as the season goes on. But having him as that interior player until Draymond gets back is gonna, and I think he'll match well with Draymond once Draymond comes back. But yeah, he's been fun to watch. The fact that he's getting rebounds and going coast to coast through people already is mind blowing. I watched him in those few games that he played at Memphis, and he wasn't even doing that. So it shows how much work he put in that year that he did have off with the extended season lockdown and stuff.
Real quick, 12.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal. I don't remember his assists, but it was a couple. So he's off to a great start. And this is all at 23 minutes per game. That's insane. Once he gets up to 30, he's going to be the rookie of the year, if you ask me. But what rookies have you noticed? What underdog rookies might be the rookie of the year for you?
I think early, the most impressive rookie that I've seen, not named James Wiseman, is Tyrese Halliburton. And he's coming off the bench for the Kings. I think he's 10.5 and 5, but he's only had 3 turnovers the whole year. So his assist to turnover ratio is great. And he fits. He's played next to Corey Joseph. He's played next to De'Aaron Fox. He's played next to Buddy Hield. And it seems like he isn't skipping a beat wherever he's playing. His defense, the stats aren't there, but his defensive efficiency against some of the better teams with guard play, as far as guarding Jamal Murray and Devin Booker, for long stretches of time. He's actually playing pretty good for a rookie in his 4 games so far. The Kings have been an interesting team so far, and we'll talk about them, I think, a little bit. But he by far is my favorite rookie so that I've seen extend. I've watched them the most probably, but he's pretty good. He's gonna, he fell to 12. I think that he's gonna be another person that we're gonna look back on in the next couple of years and be like, Donovan Mitchell-esque slippage in the draft, and we're gonna be like, wow, I'm amazed that he fell that far.
Well, we weren't sleeping on him. We talked him up immediately after the draft, and we both thought he was great before the draft. But he's one of these rookies. His IQ is so high. He's understanding rotations both on offense and defense. At the start of the season, I was watching the Kings rotate the ball around. I think they did 3 passes until they got it to him in the corner, and then he had to dribble up a little bit more to get the better angle to get it to, I think it was Bagley, maybe Whiteside, to get an assist, and no other rookie could have done that. Most of the NBA guards couldn't have done that, so he's going to be amazing. But like you said, there's so many mouths to feed on the Kings. He's not going to fill up the stat sheet, but he's going to be an unsung hero on that team, and in a couple of years, he's going to get his time to shine. He's going to be a fun player to watch.
Yeah, they've even done a couple rotations where it's been him, Fox, and Hield on the floor, and it's a smaller lineup, but the way they push in transition, it'll be interesting to see how his minutes change throughout the year.
He's fought his way into the lineup. A rookie that hasn't fought his way into the lineup just yet is LaMelo Ball. I still like him a lot. I was pretty high on him at the start of the year. He's only getting 17 minutes per game. His shooting is what's keeping him out of the game, and Terry Rozier's great play is keeping him out too. They play pretty similar styles, and LaMelo's lack of shooting is making him less flexible. Halliburton can shoot, so he can get into all those crazy lineups. But LaMelo's at 6'3" which is pretty much what we projected. It's just he's not getting enough playing time. If he doubles his minutes or even gets 5 more minutes, he's at that 10-5-5 we projected. So he's about where we're at. I just thought he would play more. Maybe the Hornets are going to try to win at the start of the season because they got Hayward, and then probably later in the season. You should see his stats go up if the Hornets start losing.
Yeah, and the thing is we're 4 games into the year, so like a month from now, we could be like, wow, after those first 5 games, LaMelo really picked it up. So it'll be interesting to see. All these rookies are going to take a little bit of time. And I think, usually you notice about the third month of the season when rookies really take that next step. You saw with Ja Morant and Kobe White last year where, Ja Morant played good, but he really took that next step. And Kobe White, I think in February, averaged like 25 points a game or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys progress. But one of the players we talked about him during the draft, and he's a, older player, experienced, was Peyton Pritchard. And he was a third pick that the Boston Celtics had in the first round. And he's the only one of the rookies playing minutes, and he's playing valuable minutes. That could be because Kemba's out, but he's shooting 56% from the 3-point line right now, and averaging a steal and a half per game, leading all rookies in steals. He was playing in crunch time the other day. I can't remember who they were playing, but
was the Pacers game?
I think it was the first Pacers game. Yeah. And he was playing crunch time guarding. I don't know who he was guarding, but he was playing.
Down the stretch.
Malcolm Brogdon, I think, but
yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those older players that can come in right away, and early on will be more effective, like Pascal did last year and stuff like that. I think there's always one or two of those late rounder older players that are ready to go right from the start that maybe don't have the highest ceiling comparative to LaMelo Ball or whatever, but right now they're pretty solid.
Yeah, I was watching the Celtics Pacers game. I'm pretty sure it was guarding TJ McConnell. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be TJ McConnell, a great role player who's going to be in the league for a long time. He might bounce around from team to team after his rookie contract is up. But he's so smart. He's so fearless.
He's a lot better of a defender than TJ McConnell, I think. But I think TJ McConnell is a good defender, but he's definitely a better shooter than TJ McConnell.
Wasn't this in the Zach Lowe podcast? TJ McConnell, since they started keeping this stat, most steals in the backcourt.
Yeah.
In the entire NBA.
Steals don't make you steals. I think he's a good defender, but James Harden is top 20 in steals every year, and I would not call him a good defender. So
I'd make the opposite argument. I think James Harden he's getting a lot better now, so I can stand up for him more now. But I think sometimes steals are underrated because of how often they lead to points on the opposite end. So they can be a misleading stat, but I do like the steals. But probably I might be a little biased. You think, Coulter? Do you think there's a reason
I
why I
think
steals?
You're biased in the steals category.
I can't think of it. Is there anyone else, any other rookies you want to talk about before we move on?
The only other rookie that I really thought had any valuable playing time so far is Precious Achua. But the Heat have been in bad losses a couple of times, so he's been able to play extended minutes, but he looks pretty good. He, similar to Wiseman, he's running the floor really good. He's rim running, and he hasn't, he's not shooting jump shots or anything like that, but he's a scrapper, and he's got a real Joakim Noah style of play that works with the Heat, and I think he's going to be a valuable player for them this year. Similar to, Kendrick Nunn, he's going to get a lot of minutes right away. And, if they're going to turn around from 1 and 2 and playing kind of iffy the first few games, then he's going to have to be a good player off their bench. But overall, it'll be interesting to watch these rookies. I think they're going to need the 20 games to get into the system and get used to the speed of things before we can really dissect them.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a Ja Morant or Zion this year. And I would be surprised if any of these rookies score 20 points per game or anything close to that.
I don't think
we can see. We can see some 16s, 18s. We'll see. We'll revisit this in a couple weeks. But now let's jump to the segment. The game that I want to do for this podcast, and it's buy or sell. We were talking about what does buy or sell mean before the podcast. So buy or sell, that basically means you compare it to stocks. If you think this team is a little underrated now, but you want to buy low on them because you think from what you've seen this first week that they're going to be a lot better, you believe in what you've seen, you're going to buy them. If you think it's or there might be a team that's still highly projected and you don't like what you've seen, you would sell that team, right? So it's a little bit of opinion. If the team is highly rated or lowly rated, we're going to be basing it a little bit off of our 2021 season projections that I mentioned earlier on our blog, and where the media has them ranked. And a little bit off of what their records. So we'll put that disclaimer in as we go through the teams. We're going to ask each other the questions, so we don't get to pick the teams. We have a list of teams here, but we're probably going to do 4 or 5 each. So, but we don't know what team is coming to which, and we can argue with each other if we disagree.
Okay. Can I ask you the first one?
Shit. Okay. Yeah. You asked me the first one.
Okay. I'm gonna say we'll go with one of the best records right now. The Orlando Magic. Are you buying or selling these guys at 4-0?
The damn Magic, you had to ask me about them. So I had 3 parlays on them. I had on the Saturday night games, I had Russell Westbrook for, so it was the Wizards versus the Magic. I'll get to your question. Westbrook had to get a triple double to quadruple my money. I won that one. And then I had to get Bradley Beal to score 29, I think, and the Wizards had to win, and Westbrook had to score 25. And the Wizards had to win. Those were 2 separate parlays, and the Wizards lost. They were in the game. It's a stupid Magic. The Magic are still undefeated. The Magic, I don't know. They look good. These teams that have consistency from last year are going to be the teams that do well at the start of the season. It's no surprise. Short preseason, not many practices. So just the teams that are bringing back all their players, they have all their sets. They're just running the same stuff and tweaking it as they go. They're going to do the best. The Wizards have also had a terrible schedule so far. So having said all that, it's going to be good for them the entire season. It's not like these teams are going to find a lot of time to get better. They're probably still a pretty lowly rated team overall. If you weren't looking at their records, I don't think Vegas has changed much on them. Would I buy or sell on them though? I would probably buy. They're better than I thought. I underrated them because I probably had them at like the 11 seed, and the Magic are the definition of average. They're probably going to get back to that 8 spot. They're probably going to win the first game against the number 1 seed, just like they did the last 2 years when they were playing the Raptors were a 2 seed one year. But they're going to be an 8 seed. They're going to be average. They're not going to get a good draft pick unless they make some trades like they're supposed to. They're going to go back to the 8 seed. And looking at our blog, I don't think I had them there.
Yeah, neither of us had them in the top 10.
So I would buy, if it's not too late, I would buy the Magic to be an 8 seed, but they're not the 1 seed. Is that a good enough answer?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wrote them off too at the start of the season, and Markelle Fultz has, been pretty solid. Aaron Gordon has taken a step back, I think. I don't know. His defense is still good, but he's only averaging 12 points and I think like 6 rebounds right now. But Markelle Fultz and that backcourt is shooting the ball really well. Terrence Ross is playing ridiculously good right now. So I'm there with you. I think I'm still skeptical. I think teams, like you said, with less turnover in the off season are the teams that have the best records right now, just because chemistry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing the Bucks lose by 20 to the Knicks, and then the next night beat the Heat by 40. So,
okay, I didn't have either one of those 2 teams, but let me ask you. You don't get to decide if you buy or sell. That was my stock.
Yeah, no, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm just saying the chemistry is why I think the Magic are 4-0, and I'm not gonna buy that stock.
Okay, I'm gonna set you up for an L here.
Okay.
Since you agree on that one, I want to get back to a team we disagreed about a little bit earlier, and I want to put you on the record. I think this might be the toughest team right now, based off of their 4 games. The Golden State Warriors. Plenty to talk about here. Make your case.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna buy Warriors stock because they are shooting abysmal right now, but I don't think they're gonna shoot that bad the whole season. I think the fact that Kelly Oubre made his first 3 last night, like 1 of 18 or whatever, I don't think that's gonna go the whole season. He shot 30% last year. Like, he's gonna start making some shots in that system. They're going to get Draymond back. I think Steph's going to get even better because he's coming off of not playing for a whole year. I think they're going to be better than their record right now, but I don't think they're a playoff team still. I think I had them at the 9th spot, and that's where I think they're going to end. I think they're going to be. I don't know though. I think there's other teams that look better, have better cores after their stars than they do, but I think that their defense has not come together, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think if Wiggins and Oubre and Wiseman can get, better on defense when Draymond gets back, which I think will happen, I think their team will start seeing better offense from that defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn on this team too. We're probably going to make a case for why they'll be good and why they'll be bad both at the same time. So it's tough. So I think the 9 probably a good call. You did buy them slightly. That was a slight buy, right?
Yeah, slight buy.
A little bit of money.
Yeah,
a little bit of money. Man, I'm worried about him. Curry is the only. I wish I would have noticed this in the preseason, but he's the only shot creator. He's going to have a rough time out there this season. We'll see if Steve Kerr is a good coach or not. He's had talent in the past, and he's just been a manager. We'll see if he's a good coach now because they don't have anyone on the bench. With Draymond out, we mentioned before. They don't have any shot creators. They need Draymond back desperately. They're doubling Steph. They're only paying attention to him. If Wiggins and Oubre can't do anything, I mean, if they can't even get to the hoop when they're having a bad shooting night, which is obviously going to happen because it keeps happening, the Warriors are in deep trouble. You have teams that are on the rise, like the Pelicans and the Kings, and Ja Morant's hurt, so Grizzlies might be a second.
Spurs.
The Spurs look great. I mean, the Warriors. Having said all that, the Warriors are 2-2. They started out 0-2. They bounced back. They beat the Pistons and the Bulls. Big whoop, but at least they're beating the bad teams, which will get you to that play-in tournament. So I'm torn. I'm glad I didn't have to answer that one.
All right, so I'll do. Are you buying or selling Toronto Raptors at 0-3?
Oh, you're throwing me a curveball. Yeah. That was on your list for you. It wasn't on mine, and now you're throwing it to me. Okay, I like it though. I like it because I want to call you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know how the lists work, I guess.
Okay, people, if you're listening, all 3 of you, what up, Maverick? Coulter has the Raptors at number 3 right now for the East. I have them at 6. All right. So, depending on whose record you're going to go off of, I am going to sell the Raptors that they're going to be a good team this year. Okay. I'm going to keep with my original prediction, but I think the media had them high. Okay. And this is why. The East is deep. I think the loss of the posts for the Raptors is going to be tough. They have all these young players. They have Chris Boucher. OG Anunoby looks great. That's the one reason I might want to buy them. I think Siakam's going to regress. Kyle Lowry's getting old. I don't think Fred VanVleet can get that much better. I think he's kind of hit his ceiling, which is already really high, but I think he's kind of hit his ceiling already. And I don't think they're as deep as they usually are. I'm worried about the Raptors. They have looked decent. I've seen a lot of Raptors this season. I think if they can get something out of Chris Boucher, who's going to be way better than I thought. He's kind of been all over the place, and Nick Nurse is really tinkering with his lineups to find something that works. But we'll see what they do at the center position. If they can get Chris Boucher to be good, I might be eating my own words. OG Anunoby's looked great. His efficiency's at 68%. I just picked him up. We're talking about all my fantasy players. I just picked him up in our fantasy league before we got on this podcast.
Oh, really? I was gonna pick him up.
8% effect. Too late because I'm not dropping him. He finished at 58% effective field goal rate. That's what LeBron finishes at every season. He can shoot. He can get to the rim. He is absolutely huge. I think he's going to be better than Siakam. Give him some time. Can I buy OG Anunoby and can I sell the Spurs? Is that a thing? We'll see. I think the Raptors will still finish in the 4 to 6 range, so they'll still be good. But I'm worried about them overall because of I take the Bucks, Nets, 76ers, Celtics, and the Pacers, and the Heat over them. So they might even be at the 7. What do you think?
So my pushback is they are second in causing turnovers right now, and they are last in offensive efficiency and shooting 42%. I don't think that the Nick Nurse Raptors will shoot 42% from the field all year. I think that will get better. Their defense is, as you can see, they're causing turnovers, but they're not scoring in transition right now. And I think that is because the turnover and getting those new centers and stuff like that, they're still figuring out their lineups and tweaking them. I think that it'll take 10 games to get some of those tweaks figured out. But I think that they have a relatively easy schedule in the second half of the season. So I think that the third might be high, but I still think that they're going to be finish with one of the better records in the East.
Top 4?
I think top 4, yeah.
Okay, that's still
they're getting good shots. They're just not going in. Like it's just, I think it's just the time off and playing in your own stadium again, and just I think it's repetition.
Yeah, they lost to the Pelicans. I watched that game. They lost to the Spurs. That was a close one too. Kelvin, we can save the Spurs for a little bit later if we talk about them, even though they're not on either one of our lists. Who's their third loss to? They're on 3 right now.
They are 0-3, and they lost to Spurs, Pelicans, Sixers.
Sixers, yeah. I'm so dumb. I was just watching the last quarter of that, and the Sixers did have the lead, but then they blew it. That's one thing they did really well last year is they won the close ones. Yeah. So this isn't anything new for them. If they can't win the close ones, I mean, they might be an identical team to last year, but their record's going to be worse. So we'll see. I think they'll be a good playoff team.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. You just flipped it on me. Now I feel like the whole board is open to me. I can surprise you with one here.
That's how I thought we were doing it. So
any category. Oh, watch out now. I'll give you an easy one. I'll save the hard one for the next one. Maybe you'll ask me it. Okay. I'll set you up with the Hawks. I know you like the Hawks. You're ready for them, I'm sure.
I'm all about the Hawks. So I would buy them, right? I would buy more Hawk stock if I'm.
Yeah.
Where do I have them? I had them at the 9 seed. So I think that they're
at the 9. You buy from the 9.
Yeah, I'm buying. I think they're going to end up higher than the 9. They're second in the league right now in points per game behind the Bucks after they dropped 144 last night. So, but yeah, we talked about Trae Young's efficiency. They have 8 players averaging double figures right now. They're shooting 41% from the 3 as a team, making 15 per game. Their offense is clicking, and I think that they'll get better defensively. They have all these young players still. And I think that with those veteran players that they got in the offseason, I think Rondo will help those guards get better at the perimeter. And I think DeAndre Hunter is already looking much like he did in college as far as being an elite style defender. Yeah, I'm all about the Hawks. I think they look as good as they looked on paper at the start of the season.
I think it's a good one. It's going to be tough to crack that top 7. Although the Raptors might lose a spot to them.
Yeah,
we had them at 9. We both liked
I think
them.
I had the Wizards above them, and they're definitely liking them better than the Wizards. So
Yeah, they're definitely right to get that 8 spot, and I think they could get to 7 too. One of those top 7 teams could drop out, and the Hawks have depth, and that's what you might need for the season. So I think it's a good buy.
Yep. Yeah, one COVID hit could, 2 weeks out of your season can go a long way in as far as like seeding goes. So
who is most likely to get COVID on the Hawks? Let's hear it.
On the Hawks?
I got 2 people. On the Hawks, right?
Yeah, Rondo?
Got the depth. Who's going to get it? Dang it. That's one of them.
I don't know who else. John Collins?
I got my second one.
Who?
I was going to go Kevin Herter. He's like me, and I feel like I might go hang out with Rondo. So.
Yeah, okay. I think they could lose a couple guys and be fine though in the East. In the West, But right. Okay, so let me get back. I'll try to get back on this list here.
The whole list is open now. This is just
okay. Are you buying or selling the Cavs at 3-1?
You're giving me all the bad teams, which might be. Man, that is a tough one though, because we're going off of their original projections, and
I had them at the bottom.
Well, I had the Raptors and I sold them, so I think I have another buy in me. They look good. I talked about this earlier. The Cavs need Sexton and Darius to Loveland to drive that train. So those two need to keep it up in a very good NBA full of guards. Kevin Love is already hurt again, so big whoop-de-doo there. But Larry Nance will probably fit in nice. He's versatile, so he'll probably fit in the 4. I don't know. They don't have depth. Can I do a buy? I thought they were going to be like the 14th worst, and now I think they'll be like better than the Pistons. Although that Cavs Pistons game was just terrible.
Atrocious.
Drummond was making steals against D Rose. I tweeted out like the sequence of events. I think I exaggerated one thing, but then everything else was right. It was turnover, steal. They didn't get the shot up at the end, and then it went into overtime, and a similar sequence happened at the end. So these teams can't execute with the last 2 minutes, and that's what the NBA turns out to be. If you can win the close ones or not against teams in your playing level, and apparently the Knicks can beat the Bucks, so it doesn't even matter. I'll buy them if you're giving me like the 14th seed price, but I'm not putting them in the play-in tournament. I'm not putting them top 10.
I don't think they're a playoff team either. But
so I'm not buying them that much.
Yeah.
It depends on the price you give me. Name the price? You make it hard for me.
Well, they're at 20. They're projected to win 23 games this year, and they're already won 3, so they got to go 20 and 61 over their 20 and 40, 20 and 51, right? 72 games, 20 and 49.
Yeah. I don't know what you're asking. You kind of cut out there on my end. But I'll buy them if you give me a low price. I'll sell them if they're anything higher than the 13th or 12th.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think they're a playoff team, but it'll be interesting to see these young players get a lot of playing time. So I don't think they're a good team in the next playoff team in the next few years unless they get some dramatic changes, I think.
They're fun to watch. I might tune in to a couple league pass games. Watch my fantasy boy Sexton. He was a steal. Steal, I tell you. The 12th round, I think. It was ridiculous. We got to do a fantasy podcast here in a little bit. We'll talk about people to watch out for, especially those rookies. Not Sexton, but the younger players. Okay, next. Ooh, I kind of want to call you out on the second team. I wanted to call you out on the Raptors, but I just got to talk trash when you asked me. So the other team I wanted to see if you changed your tune on It's the Houston Rockets. It's a small sample size, but you can compare it to what the rest of the league is doing too. So I'll set it up for you. You have them as the eighth seed. I only had them. Yeah, I had them at the 7th seed, but I kind of hedged my bet because I think they have a much higher ceiling than that too. But what do you think of the Rockets? 0-2, the only team in the West to not have a win, so they're dead last in the West. So I'm setting you up.
Yeah, it's hard to judge the Rockets because they have COVID problems, but they're like by far the worst defensive efficiency team in the league right now. They're just not playing any defense. It is only 2 games, but they did look atrocious. I don't know. I don't think that it'll be interesting to see teams that I had above them, like the Mavericks. The Mavericks look amazing one night, and then they just look average the other night. And I think, like you said, the Rockets have more upside, but what's the highest upside? I don't know. I don't think that the teams that I have below them are going to make the playoffs. I'm staying with my bet, I guess. I don't think they're going to be worse or better than the 8 seeds still.
No buy, no sell. Okay. Let me push back on your defense real quick. I saw that game against the Blazers. CJ McCollum actually absolutely went off. It was a crazy 3-point fiasco.
Yeah.
You're going to run into those. I know it's a small sample size, so I don't want to, you did point that out. They're letting in 126 per game. They were one of the best defensive teams last year, surprisingly, once they went small, and they're still a pretty small team.
Yeah.
We'll see how the rest of the team affects that. I think the Rockets might be sneaky good if they could hold on to Harden all year. I
think regardless,
I know that's kind of obvious.
Regardless, if they hold on to Harden, I think he's going to have a COVID blunder or 2, and he's going to miss some games.
He's an interesting test subject because he already had it.
Yeah, but the protocols, if he goes out and he can't go out, and so that's the interesting thing is you can't leave. You're not like the protocols, but if he already had it and he gets negative tests, then it doesn't matter. But he already has been fined for breaking protocols twice. So
that's true. And if he can't go out, it might mess with his mojo. That might be his secret weapon. I did not think about this. I might be in trouble, but
you're gonna stick to your guns.
Okay. Good point. Okay. All right. I'll see you. I have it written down though. Who else you got for me? Let's do a couple more.
Let's do the Blazers, your team that you're rocking tonight. You buying or selling them at 2-1? They beat the Lakers and the Rockets, and then they lost to the Jazz opening night.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I am running out of NBA shirts. I've had a different NBA shirt for this entire podcast. I've had the Blazers. This is the 3rd time I've had the Blazers, but they've all been different shirts. So I have the Blazers at 1, 2, 3, 4. I had them at the 5 seed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we both did. I must have moved them up. I thought I had them at the 6. Okay, so we both had them at the 5. Ooh, I might cheat like you did, and I might just stay even with them. But here's why. They're super small. I mean, they are they're basically they're playing Nurkic, but the amount of guards they have that are also small is ridiculous. So they're playing Covington at the 4. They're leaving Derrick Jones Jr. in, so they are a little bit bigger than last year. But they've got their main scorers in Damian, CJ, and Gary Trent Jr., who is going to be a killer this year. He's continuing where he left off from the bubble. He's going to be a great trade asset, like I said in a previous pod. But I am worried about their defense for their size for that reason. They lost to the Jazz for their first game, but they beat the Rockets in a very close game. But the Rockets have most of their players, which is concerning. But they had a good win against the Lakers the other night. Dame, CJ, and Gary Trent, if they can shoot lights out, the defense isn't going to matter. So I'll keep an eye on them. I'm a little worried, but I had high expectations for them, and so far they're living up to it. 114 points per game to 117 points allowed. So that does tell you where they're at. They're going to score a lot, and they're going to let a lot in. But I like them at the 5, and I think that's fantastic for a crazy, scary West team. If you had to make me pick one or the other, I'd buy. I have the Mavericks ahead of them, and I think the Blazers will look better than the Mavericks, but I think the Jazz might beat both of those teams out. So I'll go with a slight buy. A little investment. What do you think?
Yeah, and just looking at our projections, you and I have the Mavericks and the Jazz switched. So I have the Jazz above the Blazers. And I just think that Jazz match up better against the Blazers, match up well versus the Blazers. But watching the Jazz, I think that they could have, they're another team that's not very deep. I personally think, and especially in the bigs after Rudy Gobert, you got Derek Favors, but I think George Niang's been playing the 4 quite a bit. Yeah, I think I'd buy a little bit of them too. I think they're going to get better as they, as Covington and Derek Jones get into the system a little bit better. I think their defense will get better. But yeah, if Nurkic gets hurt or Cantor gets hurt or something like that, the fact that they don't have John Collins or someone, like a Wyan Gabriel who could play the 3-4 or the 5 in weird situations, that could cause some issues. But I like the Blazers.
A theme of the pod has been, me too. A theme of the pod has been they look good during the games, but what really matters for the win-loss column is going to be how you close games. And Derek Jones Jr. was guarding LeBron last night, played some good D, and actually was one of the biggest reasons they got that win. And Covington's looked pretty good too. So I think those two additions won't help their overall stats, but it'll help them last 2 minutes. That might
long
get them
term,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. You asked me a question first. You just asked me about the Blazers, so you want this to be the last one?
Sure.
We got a couple teams left. Last one. Okay. I gotta pick a good one then. Pretty interesting. I gotta call you out for one of your picks. We were so similar on so many of these. We picked most of them. I don't want to talk about the Grizzlies because of the Ja Morant injury. It's going to be too hard to see about them. I think I know what you would say about the Spurs. Okay, here's a good one, and I like them a lot, similar to the Raptors. I'm going to go the Philly 76ers. I want to talk about them, but I'm interested to see what you said too. I had them at 3. You had them at 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
They are currently 3rd at 3-1, but that doesn't really matter. But what do you think of them? Are you gonna buy or sell? Let's put them at let's kind of split the difference. Let's put them at the 5 seed. You can buy them at the 5 seed. Are you gonna buy or sell?
I'm gonna sell if they're gonna be the 5 seed. I think their record is better than they actually are. They beat the Wizards and the Knicks, which, in my opinion, is whatever. And then the Toronto game was a good win, but they're still not shooting the 3-point shot great. I think they're 27th in the league right now. They're also 27th, or they're averaging 18 turnovers to 22 assists, so they're not creating any ball movement like last year. And I don't know. I think that they added some shooting, but I think that I don't know, they look like the same team to me. I don't think that they're better or worse than they were last year. And if Embiid gets hurt, then I think they're going to end up right where I have them in the bottom 4 of the playoff. I mean, they'll walk into the playoffs, but I think they'll be in that bottom part of the bracket. So
Great.
I'm selling at the 5 seed.
You know why I love it? You're selling. I love it because I completely disagree with you. And that's what this is all about. Okay. So, all right. Good point about them not shooting well. They were hoping Seth Curry and Danny Green, who's just usually a good shooter, would spread the floor a little bit more for them. But here's why they don't even need to shoot well, because they have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they finish in the paint. And that's where I want them scoring. I don't want those guys shooting mid-range. I don't want them shooting threes. I don't need Ben Simmons to get a three-pointer. I don't need Joel Embiid to spread the floor when they have Tobias playing the 4, which is the big change. And he's on my fantasy team. And he's going to be – I hope he's good. I took him too early. But he's going to be good for the team overall, okay? So they're 3-1. They lost to the Cavs. I like them a lot in the Raptors game. Late possession. There's a Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They were working the floor together for the first time because Ben Simmons gets to play the point more often. Ben Simmons drove past. The Joel Embiid defender had to help off. Embiid popped for a 3. Then they kept the Raptors, as they do, they kept switching. The best switching team in the league. But the 76ers had the 4 3-point shooters ready to go, and they eventually got it to Danny Green in the opposite. It was in the left corner. He made the 3. Joel Embiid started possession in the right corner. So I like them a lot. They're going to close games well. Doc Rivers drew up a great play. Well, it was mostly a Russell Westbrook blown coverage play. But he did draw up a good play for Ben Simmons to get a dunk against the Wizards. I think the Wizards are a little better than their record. I like the Sixers. I'm going top 4 easy. You want to make a pizza pick on? You want to make a pizza bet on this one?
That they'll be top 4 versus bottom 4.
Scared we want to do this? Yeah, top 4 versus bottom 4.
I'll do a pizza pick on that.
Okay, all right. We'll figure out the terms offline and we'll get back to the people. I have this idea for a pizza betting system, and we might have to bring that to the people. But I'm writing that one down.
Okay.
12:30, almost done with 2020. I got 76ers top 4. Then we got 76ers bottom 4 for Coulter. We might have to put that up as a poll. I'd be interested to see what people think.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it could go either way. You got the Bucks. You got the great teams like the Bucks, the Magic, the Hawks. I mean, all of those teams just amazing.
The Cavs.
Oh my gosh. The Cavs. Sorry, Cavs. Yeah, it goes Magic, Hawks, 76ers, Cavs, and then Bucks barely squeaking into the playoffs. But yeah, it's been an interesting season so far. The East is almost entirely flip-flopped with who you would think would be at the top and who you think would be at the bottom. I think will be right in the long run. The West looks pretty much at there's some surprise teams there too, but the Kings, we didn't get to talk about the Spurs. Any last thoughts before we move on to the pizza toppings draft?
Yeah, in a month we could look like we knew what we were talking about or we were complete idiots. So we'll definitely have to regather this at like the 15 game mark or 20 game mark and see where things stand.
Absolutely. Okay, that's all it right for the picks.
Yep, and now the real the real fun time picks. We're going to do a draft snake style of we're going to each have 3 picks. We're going to do our top 6.
We're doing 3 or are we doing 5?
No, 3 each. Let's
thinking,
just do 3 each. Just do 3 each. We'll keep it fast and quick and easy.
Okay. I feel you. Dog. I only have one most of the time, so I feel you.
Yeah, same. So
who's going first? This almost determines the whole draft.
Yeah, who went? Did you go first? You went first for the. Okay, we can flip.
Did I?
You went first for the pizza draft.
I don't remember.
You had Mackenzie River.
Did I? Did I go number 1 with that though?
Mackenzie River was number 1.
All right. Well,
it doesn't matter. We know what the best topping is.
Okay. You go first. I'll give you the first one. I like my second and third, so you can have the first.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the classic pepperoni. It's good on every type of pizza: deep dish, thin crust, personal pan, hand tossed, all the types of pizza. Pepperoni, hands down, number 1 pick.
Okay,
the LeBron James. It's the LeBron
Best
James
pepperoni. No. It is, but maybe MJ. But okay, definitely MJ. But okay. Who has the best pepperoni? It doesn't have to be I wouldn't say Mackenzie River has the best pepperoni. Who has the best pepperoni? Do you, Coulter?
Bridger Brewing Bison pepperoni is the best pepperoni.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I might go Bowman's. Gosh, I really like theirs. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, Bridger. Okay. With the second pick, I usually get this at Domino's, but it's good anywhere. It's good at McRib too. But I'm gonna go. It's really good on oven pizzas, right? It's really good on DiGiorno. So I'm going Italian sausage. All right. Nice. I mean, it's solid, easy to eat, pairs perfectly with pepperoni too, which is usually my go-to. But Italian sausage, man, I think my favorite might be Domino's, surprisingly. That might be why I go Domino's, because of the pizza Italian sausage.
Yeah. And Italian sausage works well with it by itself or with other ingredients, which I really enjoy. That was my number 2 pick also. So good minds.
Interesting. Okay. I think I might go. I kind of want to steal one from you, though. Gosh, what would you take? I'm gonna leave that for. I'm gonna leave that for last. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. This might surprise you. I might get some pushback on this, but I like jalapenos on my pizza. If I'm feeling like a little wild card,
nice.
Switching it up a little bit. Need a little spice in my life. I'm a little bored. Go with the jalapeno. Okay.
Nice.
It doesn't. It goes down well. It doesn't come out well, but it's nice. It's a nice way to switch things up. A little bit of a wild card pick.
That was actually on my list, and I'm gonna actually stay in the peppers category for my 4th pick.
Shit.
And I'm gonna go with bell peppers because I think they work good with the other proteins on pizza. But yeah, I think jalapenos and bell peppers are all solid add-ons to go with pepperoni and Italian sausage or by themselves, honestly. I don't know if I could eat a jalapeno, just a jalapeno pizza, but I'd give it a try.
I don't think I can. Yeah, that was a good pick, though. Good pick. Mackenzie River, I think it's the rancher. They got like the chicken and the bell pepper. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
All right. Your last pick.
My last pick. You know what? I'm going to go with another fatty protein and bacon. I'm just going to say bacon on pizza is solid. Crispy bacon makes everything better no matter what type of food. So why not put it on pizza? Bacon with the 5th pick.
Yeah, I think I should have taken it in the second round. That was a nice one. Um,
It's the
I don't think
Nikola
you were going to
Jokic.
take
It's the
jalapeno.
sleeper.
It is a sleeper. Bacon is so good on pizza because it always comes in crumble form,
Yeah.
and it's delicious. Every place does it right. You can't mess it up. That was a great pick. I might have to go with my wild card pick now because that's what I was going to take this round. All right, you might disagree, but I'm taking it, and you can't take it back. Right? This is the toppings draft. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
I think if I know my pizza, I looked this up, and I normally don't do it, but I'm gonna try it today. I'm gonna go with extra cheese as a
Okay.
topping. I think that usually cuts in. I usually don't do it because most places give you enough cheese, but if you want to be safe, sometimes those chain restaurants, sorry, Pizza Hut and Domino's, uh, they can be a little stingy with their cheese. So if you want to play it safe, you get that
Yeah.
extra
Extra cheese.
cheese. You
Okay.
took you took most of my picks. I could have went like Canadian bacon is always good. I'm not. Nobody said pineapple. If you like pineapple, which a lot of my family members do, we had to like get weird. We did Pizza Hut for Christmas Eve, and it's not good. I like pineapple on its own actually, but it doesn't belong on a pizza. All right, don't ask me about that one.
All right. What about like grilled chicken on pizza? You like? I mean, we talked about the rancher
Chicken
and
would have
stuff
been
like
good
that.
too.
That's a good one. But I don't know. I think our top six were pretty solid picks. It'll be interesting to see if anyone of our
You
three
you
listeners
killed me.
uh has anything else to add on their top picks. Maverick can let us know in the comments what his favorite pizza topping is that we didn't add. So yeah, so
Two
that
shout
was it.
outs.
That was a good draft, pretty solid. I think that after six picks, 6 through 10 would have been garbage picks anyway. So it was good
You
to
were
stop
right.
at
You
six.
were right. We still have chicken out there.
Yeah. So top seven, but the rest of the 10 would have been bad. But so yeah, that was good talking. We'll have to see what happens once they get through these next few games, and we'll have to revisit what we talked about today and see where we go once they're in the 20 games area and stuff like that, and see where our fantasy teams are, and if Colin Sexton and all your guys are still crushing it. So good pod, and make sure to check us out on Spotify, and we have our website up now, pizzaandpicks.com. Make sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at pizza, the letter N, picks. And until next time, keep the slices coming.